Hey guys, Mighty Gazelle here.
And Hero Hey, talking about some Samurai Jack again.
This is going to be our sort of grand finale of the series where we just kind of talk about the controversial ending, as it's been nearly a week now, not like a week, but like 5 days, and people are still nonstop debating whether it was a good ending, whether it was bad. We're just going to give our thoughts. We're not experts. Well, in Samurai Jack's world we are, but I mean, we're not experts in terms of like reviewing stuff. So this should be a lot of fun.
Has it really been 5 days already? Oh my god.
Yeah, about that, I think. Feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Man, time flies. How sad is that?
I know. I'm ready to move on to my channel, and I'm sure you are too, but I think it's definitely worth having sort of a final thoughts on everything that happened.
I don't know, man. I'm having like second thoughts now. It's been 5 days. I mean, maybe we just scrapped this whole idea and just... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's gonna be a great talk.
So I guess we'll start by saying what your initial reaction was and how you feel now 5 days later, if it changed at all. But you go first.
It got more solidified. Like I wasn't entirely sure how
how'd
to
you feel at
right
first?
away. It's kind of a little disappointed, to be honest. And but I wasn't really sure. I was like, I want to just kind of like look back on this, and then I decided I really am like disappointed. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to say too much now because we're all like comment on everything like specifically, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
for sure.
It started off. Let me say, I still love the season. I still loved the whole show, but it started off so strong, and I just feel like the end wasn't quite as strong as the rest of the season 5 was.
Okay.
What about you?
So my initial reaction was I was just in shock. Like, I felt like I blinked and it was over, and I couldn't believe how it ended. And I was kind of torn. Part of me was like, I kind of liked some things about the finale, but the other part of me was like, this felt like it could have been an hour special. It really should have been. I feel like they could have definitely done an hour. I feel like there's so much more scenes that could have fleshed out. We'll talk about it more as we go. But yeah, and then a few days later, I came across something on Reddit. I'll talk about this toward the end of our discussion. But
Ooh.
it's sort of like, holy crap, how did I not notice that kind of thing? And it sort of made me
Well, that's
appreciate
interesting.
it made me appreciate the ending more, and I can't believe I didn't notice it myself. But then you put the pieces together, and it doesn't fix everything about the finale, because I still feel like this could have really benefited from an hour. I think it would have fleshed out a lot of things better, and I'll talk about my complaints about that as we go. And I'm sure you will add in as well. But
Oh yeah.
I feel like what I found out, it definitely adds some weight and some closure to a certain aspect of this finale. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So since you seem to be in more of a negative mindset, do you want to share some things you actually enjoyed about the finale?
Yeah, yeah. And let me just say, like, I don't want to say it's negative. I want to
Yeah,
say
I
it's
shouldn't
more of a
have- I
positive
shouldn't have said
mindset
that.
because, like, no, I get what you're saying though. But just to clear that up, just in case, what I mean is like, I love the show so much. I just know it could have had a better ending. It really could have, and I think it deserved a better one. Yeah. But oh yeah, you were telling me like some of the stuff I liked though, right?
Yeah.
So Robo Samurai, bro, like once he actually
Mondo
came,
Bot.
did you see that?
So I like back when you made your original theory of him coming back.
You
I was
saw
like,
that one, right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
wow.
like, that was when I first found your channel. I was like, there's
Oh,
no
nice.
way. This is crazy. This is not going to happen. And then, what do you know? We get Robo Samurai punching Aku in the face and like ripping his antlers off. And
Dude,
stuff.
I was shocked. I was legitimately shocked. I like when I was watching, I was like, of all the theories I made, like I thought that one was kind of like definitely
Yeah.
not going to be true. It was kind of like a joke theory, but
Definitely the original
Dude,
Green Samurai. You know.
right? Yeah, straight
Yeah,
up. Dude, that cameo, I was so happy when I
Yeah.
saw that. That was badass. Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. Should he be able to tear Aku's horns off? I don't know.
So I mean, Aku can't die from anything from the sword, but I feel like it makes sense that some things can kind of like hurt him, like not like deeply, but like I got hit in the arrows like in the eye, like it kind of like bothered him.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Things like that make sense to me, but obviously nothing can like kill him. So
It made sense to me too, but I was trying to think like, do you remember seasons 1 through 4? Like, did Aku ever get hurt by like something that wasn't the sword? Like, not like, because okay, really quick, like when the sword damages him, you see that kind of like fiery outline
Yeah.
around where he got hit, and that signifies that he can't like regen there,
yeah.
So like not like that, but like just like kind of like what happened when the horns were torn off. Like there's no fiery outline.
In the original series, the only time Aku was ever attacked by someone that wasn't Jack was when he was originally attacking Jack's homeland, and all the army was like firing arrows at him. But he kind of did the same thing where he kind of like blocked the arrows with his hand and absorbed them.
Yeah. So it was a whole different kind of circumstance, though, I guess. Yeah. It's not like having a giant robot frickin' grab your horns and rip them off. Those little arrows.
I think there's a little bit of leeway you can have there. Like, it's not like the Robo Samurai killed him or anything. It was just like a fun, like, beat him up kind of moment.
I agree. I'm not going to nitpick on that one. That was awesome. Like, I love that part. So that was one of my favorite things to see.
Yeah.
And then, like, the archaeologist dog coming back was awesome.
Oh, that was hype. All the
Spartans, dude.
Hype.
We got the Spartans.
Oh my!
That was sick.
I don't know if you saw my reaction, but I flipped out. So I was starting to lose hope because even in the leaks we didn't get any Spartans and anything. I was like, oh, these don't forget the Spartans. And then the rockets come in. I was like, holy crap, they're back, and they're like they hold the line.
Epic.
And, that's just like, say what you want about the finale, but the fan service was real. There was there was some strong fan service, and especially the intro, the old intro at the beginning.
Oh yeah, being played on the TV.
That was one of the most. I'll talk about this more later, but that's actually one of the most genius story elements they could have possibly added. And there's a very interesting thing that people probably don't realize about what that signifies, but I'll talk about that later. It's all part of my grand defense of a certain plot point in this.
The grand defense. Okay.
But yeah, I really enjoyed. Visually, this whole season has been amazing. I don't think there's any episode that hasn't had great just art and drawing of the characters. It's not really talked about a lot, but it should be mentioned. Whoever they had drawing this stuff, it was simply amazing. Very well done.
That's true. It was.
Yeah.
Very visually appealing season.
Yeah, definitely. I also really enjoyed we didn't get a lot of the Scotsman, but when he was in, man, he was funny. He was listing off all of his daughters. Like, he had $50 and long-winded as ever.
I do want to say, like, the Scotsman's scenes in the final episode made me feel okay that I didn't have him in the rest of the season. Honestly, they did him so much justice. Like, dude, he was arguably stronger than Jack at that point. Like, dude, he was so freaking overpowered. It was so awesome. Like, dude, he was so sick. I can't believe they buffed him that much. Like, his bagpipes had like OP magic abilities, and then like he can fly and like carry his whole army behind him. He couldn't even be like, he's intangible, so he can't even be hurt. Like, dude, they did him right. They really did do him right.
So is that about it for kind of the main things that we liked? Is there anything else you want to add before we dive into the negatives?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, what do you agree with me on the Scotsman? Like, because I know we both kind of wish there was like a little bit more of him.
I think,
but
honestly, I feel like he was done perfectly in that we all wanted to see him, but you can't have too much of him because it kind of detracts from the main story. I think they found a good balance. I do kind of wish we had maybe just a little more interaction between him and Jack, because they were like talking and then Ashi like sweeps him away. But that's understandable. They had to get things done. They had a time constraint. But
I think the interaction was pretty freaking amazing, though. To be honest, like, even though it was short, it was like the perfect callback to their relationship. Like, good friends, and then the Scotsman gets mad super easily.
Oh yeah,
and then he's like trying to get Jack to go get with his daughters.
And then he's like, I found someone, and then he looks over and Ashi's just like tentacle monster, like beating up everyone.
Like, I don't think she's your type, laddie. Dude, that was
so
perfect.
So good.
I definitely enjoyed that part. That was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, we can't forget one of the best callbacks ever. When the monkeys are hitting Aku and they're like, he's like, flying monkeys, and they're like, no, jump good.
Yeah, dude, that was perfect. That was perfect too. Very
love
good
that
point.
Stuff. I love that stuff, and that's the kind of thing where that's only people who watched it back in like 2001, 2004 are gonna remember. But it's like, because a lot of people now who are watching it who are like 12, who are probably watching this new series, a lot of them probably didn't watch the old one, which is kind of a shame because I think that would really helped to watch.
Sure. For sure.
But yeah, I love things like that, and it proves that Gendy's really connected to his fan base, regardless of how you think he handled certain things. But yeah,
right.
All right, so
yeah, good call. That jump good thing was awesome.
Do we dive in now to the?
All right, let's do it.
All right, you go first. I want to hear your opinion.
You seem like you have a place to start, right? Or no?
I actually don't. Well, I'm gonna save my huge point for the end. I'll say a few of the negatives. Nothing that I can say will defend the fact I think this deserved to be an hour-long special. I think that certain things in this episode, they could have really benefited from more fleshed out scenes. One of the biggest sins I think this episode has is Jack and Aku don't really have a scene together, which is kind of a shame because their interactions in the seasons 1 through 4 were so special. I feel like it could have just added a little more like, this is the end of both their stories, so, and these two are like arch rivals. I feel like they kind of needed maybe like one just conversation. I don't know. That could have been pretty good.
Yeah,
I think
that would have been good. I mean, we got a tiny bit of a conversation in episode 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely, it was definitely, I guess, not even much of a conversation really.
Yeah.
It was more like Scaramouche told me you don't have your sword, so I'm here to kill you. It's been a while, but that's why I'm here. And then he's like, oh, this? Or whatever,
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what? I think we should postpone this meeting until later. Until Scaramouche and gets ready to leave. But then he oh wait, I smell myself. And then, it wasn't not the longest conversation for sure.
I will say,
and then in episode 10, like you said, it was like, did they even really? They didn't really have any lines in episode 10, did they?
Honestly, the only thing Aku said to Jack was like, "You're back already?" I think like that or something like that.
Oh, that,
I think that's the only thing.
When he went back.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah.
But they didn't talk at all. There was no interaction.
Isn't it weird? Like, that's kind of weird. I don't know.
It's super weird. It's super weird.
I will say though, I originally was disappointed with the, how quickly he goes back and defeats Aku. I will say I love the idea of him going back to that time to beat him. Like, that makes sense. It's kind of cool to see like him get flung in the future and get put right back and defeat him.
Yeah, that was cool. That was pretty badass the way it was done like that.
Yeah,
there were some issues with it being done that way to some people, but I mean, issues aside, and there were issues with that, like in terms of a plot and paradoxes and stuff like that. Like, all that aside, it was pretty badass though. Like, to see Jack exploring the past, and then because like you said, those of us who watched it as kids, we just know Jack gets flung to the past right there. And then now, later on, thinking in our minds, if we were kids, just imagine if we would have known what really happens is Jack gets flung to the past, and a second later, or not even a second, it's freaking a millisecond,
Yeah.
Then he actually comes back somehow, and then he beats Aku there. It's kind of crazy to think about.
So apparently that scene where it's like Jack holding the sword over Aku, and they used the old voice for Jack there. I don't know if you could tell, but it was the original voice from that scene, because it's
really?
It's a lot lighter. You can tell it's the younger Phil Lamar.
You mean at the very end?
Yeah,
with the sword.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess Aku, they didn't use Mako's voice there. They actually used Greg's, and I couldn't tell, but someone pointed it out to me online, and it's just a huge testament. I think Greg Baldwin actually did very well as Aku. I think he deserves a shout out here.
He did. For sure.
A lot of people were concerned, oh, you can't replace Mako. Well, no, you can't really replace him, but I think Greg did a very good job.
You can have a good alternative, and he definitely succeeded there,
Yeah. I will say, when Jack first killed Aku, my initial reaction was like, oh, that was fast. But if you think about it, and it's kind of crazy, the first fight Jack ever had with Aku was the final fight. Because that was him, weakening Aku, and he ends up beating him in that fight. That's kind of crazy, but it's I don't know. That's weird to think about. Also,
so, why... Oh, go ahead.
No, go first. I'll hold on. Oh, okay. So it's kind of crazy to think well, it's not crazy to think, but Jack's been tormented by this guy for 50 years, so I guess it would make sense that he would just jump in and kill him. I don't think he would hold anything back. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree there. Plus, I don't think he really knew the moment in time. I don't think he really knew. He knew he was going back to the past, but did he know it was going to be right then, right there? I think he just came down and saw that was Aku there, so he's like, Aku! Runs over and just finishes it really quick.
I think he's had enough time with the portals to know that okay, this is probably taking me back. At least I can hope.
Yeah, he knew it was going to be in the past. But on that same note, how did Ashi know where to take him? When and where?
So I don't have a solid defense of that, but if I had to guess, this is just speculation. We don't really know. Remember how Ashi was like how she first used like her Aku power to like block Aku, and then she blocked him again. And Jack's like, Ashi, you have Aku's powers, and she's like, oh, I do. I wonder if she used the powers first subconsciously, like she wasn't even thinking about it. So I think that since Aku's like in her, maybe that time was already like knowledge to her because it's like a part of her. That's just a guess though. That's not probably not right, but
Like they share memories.
yes. And I don't want to say anything more because that would dive into my final point. But
Interesting. Well, I'm excited to get into that when we do then. Which
yeah,
definitely getting me interested in that for sure.
So anything else? Anything else you want to add about like negatives you thought? Like, do you want to talk about the final stuff, like how Ashi disappearing and whatnot, or
Like I'm kind of interested to hear like this grand defense you have, and then maybe I'll comment on the negatives
okay?
more.
I guess I'll dive into it. I'll do the best I can to explain it. So this basically revolves around the idea that Ashi. Okay, so as you know, Gendy is a master of subtle imagery, hidden messages, if you will.
He is.
So this is the idea that Ashi, she knew from the very beginning that when she sent Jack to the past to kill Aku, that she knew she was going to disappear. And
Okay, right away I'd like to just kind of say I'm on board with that part. I don't know what else you're gonna say, but when she's in the time portal, like she does
Yes.
give a weird looking look.
she's concerned at first, like she has a visual look of concern and worry, and she sees Jack close his eyes and smile, and then she grabs his hand and looks at him, and then she starts to smile because she's
Yeah,
happy that he's happy. So if you remember way back in season, I think that Gendy puts things in episodes for a reason, especially with the time constraint. I think everything that's in episodes are there for a reason. Way back in episode 3, the quote that Jack's father tells him, "The decisions you make and the actions that follow are a reflection of who you really are." And Jack then repeats this to the Sisters of Aku. And I think that resonated with her. Later
During that fight.
Yeah, later in the season, Jack shows her all the things that Aku has done terrible to this world, and all the scars and all the evil creatures that are roaming the land. And it's kind of brought to her like, oh, this is true, this is real. And then as she's searching for Jack as he goes missing when he's going to go commit suicide, the archers, they tell him the story of how he gave up his ultimate quest to save them. And in an exact quote, they said, "It was an act of immeasurable sacrifice." And she stares at the statue and smiles right after they say that to her. Later, Jack's telling her of the past and how he misses his home so much and that they're always just going to be a memory. And then finally, in the final episode, the reason it's so genius that Gendy used the original intro, not just for nostalgia's sake, but when all these people are seeing so basically Aku tells everyone what Jack's ultimate goal was. His ultimate goal was to return to the past and undo the future that was Aku. And instead of let him die and let this future stay the way it was, all these people, they decide to risk their lives knowing very well that Aku is probably going to kill them. They have no chance to kill Aku, but they want anything desperately to help Jack return to the past and undo this future that is ruled by the sadistical evil monster. And throughout the whole seasons 1 through 4, Jack continuously sacrifices his own journey to help these people. And these people realize, hey, now it's our turn. We're perfectly okay giving up our lives to help Jack in this final moment, to return to the past and fulfill his journey. And I think that
Right.
I think that's profoundly powerful, in that all these people are willing to help Jack when he never asked for it once, but it's an act of immeasurable sacrifice, just like the archers said. And at the end of the day, the ultimate form of love you can show for someone is self-sacrifice. Ashi loved Jack so much that she was willing to self-sacrifice herself to help him return to the past and be happy in his time and undo the future that Jack so much brought to her light, to like let her know. Also, Jack, when faced with the opportunity to kill Ashi and defeat Aku, or give up and give up his life. Essentially, he gives up his life. He would rather die than kill Ashi. And right there, that's a true sign of how much they care about each other. So I think that I can personally, I could be more at peace with the ending, knowing that all these people, they wanted this to happen. They wanted Jack to return to the past because they cared so much about him, and it was a return for the sacrifice that he made for them.
That's true. The other thing though is like a lot of those people, they did just want to free him too. From Aku. It wasn't necessarily to like specifically get him to the past, more so as in that moment that he's about to be killed on TV. It's like, let's get down there and free him. Like I don't think all of them knew. Like I don't think the Woolies really, for example, knew like we can get this guy to the past. I think it was more like we just need to help free him first. I mean, there was that one like giant Mother Wooly thing, but
you have
like,
to know that
even that like you know what I'm talking about. What was the name of that? I forget the name. It was like the giant Wooly, the like mastermind of them all.
The elder one,
the leader.
Yeah,
the elder Wooly. Like it just simply said when Jack saved them, like go north. There's a magic land that will help you. So it didn't even that one didn't really know about returning to the past. So I think a lot of them were just to free him.
That's why it's crucial that they were shown what Jack's purpose was this whole time, because a lot of them didn't know, like you said. But since
they just wanted to beat Aku.
Yeah, Aku showed it to them. Like his goal was to return to the past and undo this future. And you can you could say that they wanted to save him, but I feel like that's not enough of a reason to go risk your lives to fight Aku, because they had to know that Aku would kill them easily, and he did. He killed almost all of them. Also, remember when the Scotsman brought his army to fight Aku? He probably had no chance in hell to beat him, and he probably knew that. Yet he brought his daughters, the love of his life, that he even mentioned in the final episode, to fight Aku right there, even though they knew they had no chance. These people really hate Aku. They want him to go away. He's caused so much evil and hatred on the world.
Yeah, but okay, so like the one thing I want to say too is, remember what the Scotsman said when he first met Aku before he died? He said people were rallying against him. So it wasn't like spur of the moment entirely either. Like people already were getting ready to fight against Aku.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else, but maybe it'll come to me again.
But I want to also say, like, my issue with the finale isn't that Ashi died. It was like I would have preferred her to live.
Oh,
not just
definitely.
For Jack to be happier, but
I should make
her.
it clear right now. I would have still preferred her to live, because obviously everyone wants a happy ending. But I'm saying I can appreciate the one they chose more now, knowing kind of some things behind it. That's all.
But that's what I'm getting at, though. It's not that Ashi died. I'm fine with her dying in some way. I would have, like I said, I would have preferred she lived, but I'm fine with her dying in the end. It was the way it happened, and it was the way it was so rushed. Like you said, maybe an hour-long episode would have been better.
That's the part I can't defend. I can't defend how short the episode was. Like that, it should have been an hour. It really should have been.
And like, why did she conveniently die in the middle of the wedding scene? Like, to me, it was the word I kept using, and I'll use again, is cheap. It didn't even feel like, it just felt cheap to me. Like, obviously he wants to close the show out, and I don't want to put this all on Gendy, because I'm sure, really quick, a quick side note, like, Gendy in the interview said that he wanted, this is the ending he's had in mind this whole time. But do you realistically think that he would want the season 5 to end in only 10 episodes? I mean, I'm sure that comes down to executive decisions and stuff too. Like, maybe he would have done the ending the same way, but maybe he would have done it a little more fleshed out if he had a little more time.
There's actually
if they
a
gave
quote.
Him more time.
They asked him, like, they were talking to him, and he said, "I haven't seen the final episode yet," because this is back when they were just wrapping up the building of the episodes. He said he had already storyboarded it, and he knew the plot of the episode, but he hadn't seen the final product of the episode.
So he might not even really like the way it was carried out entirely.
I'm sure he's very happy with it. I'm sure there's probably a couple things that maybe he Obviously, I think he would have benefited from more time, as we've said many times. I think this would, I don't know. That can't be stressed enough. I feel like if there were more time, more people would have more ease with this, I think.
And that's another thing I want to bring up too, because it's easy to say if there was more time for the finale specifically, it could have been done better. But knowing very well the time that you have allocated to you, maybe things should have went differently in the earlier episodes. Maybe, as much as I love Jack's suppression, maybe we shouldn't have spent so much time on that. If it meant rushing the finale like that, maybe something should have been done differently. But it's hard to say for sure. But on that same note, like, it wasn't just like, okay, so Ashi's death felt cheap to me. It was like she conveniently dies at the wedding to leave the most like emotional impact on the viewer, which didn't really. To be honest, I was more sad in episode 9, like seeing Jack give up, seeing Ashi being like, "What's happened to me? Like, why am I getting taken over? Like Jack, just kill me." I was crying in episode 9. In episode 10, I actually didn't cry. I was just kind of frustrated. I was like Gendy, like, man, like this is how you're gonna. This is how you're gonna leave us. Like,
yeah, I agree.
It was cheap. It didn't feel emotional.
like I didn't feel sadness. I felt like a gut wrenching pain. You know, like it wasn't like I don't know.
And also, on that same note, him going back to the past felt very uneventful to me. Like, it almost felt like he didn't even actually make it back to the past because it was so quick. It was like, back to the past, 30-second fight, and then we didn't get any interaction with him and, like, his ancestors, him and his father.
That made me so upset. Like, just
okay,
have
I'm glad you
one,
agree there.
I meant to mention this earlier when I was talking about, like, how I felt Aku didn't get enough time. I cannot rest easy knowing he didn't get a chance to at least talk to his dad. Like, at least talk to his dad. Like, just say one thing to him. Like, but this is the guy that he was like having visions of in the river in episode 1, like drifting down the river, and like, help me, son, help me.
Seriously.
And he didn't even get like, father, I've done this. Like, I've succeeded, and just a hug. You know, like a hug.
They really needed that. They really needed that. And
honestly, they could have
really quick, because some people will counter. I know for a fact some people will counter argument saying, "Well, to Jack's family, he wasn't even gone that long." Here's the thing: that's fine, but to Jack, he was. To Jack, he was gone for like 50 years. So I would have loved just a scene even of like Jack dropping to his knees and just crying and just like being so happy to be back. Even if
he was kind of gone a while though, because he was gone in training. Remember, like all the people were suffering, so there was still like a time gap. Yeah.
There was still a time gap, especially for the mom. I mean, okay, kind of, because like he went to the mom after his training and got the sword, so he saw her real quick.
Yeah.
And then he went back to like find Aku, and he ran into the father, and he like freed the father and the villagers there from like the minions of Aku that were like enslaving them, and then he went to fight Aku. But I mean, really though, Jack, we needed a scene with Jack just being emotional, finally getting back to the past.
I think there's a lot of like, I didn't really need the scenes of like the. You know, when they go back to the past and they show all the old people that Jack trained with kind of popping up on the boats, I didn't need that. Give me that 20 seconds they spent there on like a scene with the dad, honestly.
I would have preferred that too, for sure. For sure.
So questionable stuff there. Like I don't really know how many people wanted to see the Robin Hood guy appear again, you know? Like, oh, let me see that Robin Hood guy in the finale, please. You know?
Life complete. No. Like we get it. We get it. He was throwing in more Easter eggs. But
just have him at the wedding,
like
place, in the background. Right? Just have him in the background. Like that's simple enough.
That's a genius idea. That would have been better.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many.
So all these things just add up to a finale that, as a true fan, I just feel like it deserved a better ending. It really did. It almost, just to reiterate, to me, it didn't really feel like he even got back to the past almost. Like he did, but it was so quick and so rushed. 30-second fight with Aku, skip to the wedding. Ashi conveniently dies at the wedding to try and make it an emotional. Because like, what was Gendy's words again? Do you remember? He said he wanted the ending to.
He said it wanted to be bittersweet, right?
Yeah, but also he said not that quote. The other one. It was like, I want to leave. What was it? He said like.
I can't remember.
I want
the exact one.
He said something like, I want to create an ending that will like last with the fans or something like that.
Well, he's not wrong. It's gonna last with everyone in one way or another. Whether you like it or not, it's gonna last with you because you'll either
for
hate
the
it
wrong
forever.
reasons, though.
Yeah,
for the wrong reasons. I hate to say, because it just came off to me as cheap. Like he could have done it differently and had an emotional, impacting ending without conveniently killing Ashi at the wedding and this sort of stuff.
I will say there's I haven't researched this a whole lot, but apparently people who are much wiser than there's actually a lot of hidden messages in this season that a lot of people, like the general public, like me and you included, aren't really picking up on, and now they're just sort of kind of getting unraveled, whether they're true or not. Obviously, we don't know until someone gets a quote from Gendy in the future. But the ladybug is actually significant. From what I found, ladybugs represent messages between lovers in Japan, and
that doesn't make me feel any better. I don't want to like interrupt you, but okay,
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's completely fine. I'm not trying to put anyone's mind at ease here. I'm just saying like there's symbolic nature in ladybug where it's supposed to be ties through. It's not even just ties like in physical sense. It's ties through time, through death, through like afterlife. It's symbolic in that nature.
Yeah, I've had some people comment that on some of the videos I made, and that doesn't make the ending any less cheap feeling. It really doesn't. And first of all, it's hearsay. I mean, like you said, until Gendy actually says that's what he intended, it's really hearsay. And even assuming that's what he intended, it still doesn't take away from the fact that the ending was pretty rushed. It really doesn't.
So a lot of people have been talking about a supposed like secret ending or like deleted scene kind of thing. I don't know if you've heard about that. People are like, "Where's this bridge? This image of the bridge that it's been online for a while."
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's a alternate ending or anything like that. I don't think that's Gendy's style to do like an alternate ending to something like this. I feel like this was done in a way that you can tell he wanted it to be this way, for take it or leave it.
I agree with you 100% on that one. Yeah.
But I do.
I agree. I think
yeah.
If he had the time to make an alternate ending, he would have had the time to flesh the ending out more.
Yeah.
More so, you know what I mean?
Definitely. I'm not saying that there's not like any deleted scenes or anything that we might get on the Blu-ray. I really hope at least on the Blu-ray stuff we get some like commentary over the episodes. I think that'd be great. I'd love to hear like his thought behind stuff. I'm not saying it'd fix anything, but yeah, I don't know. This whole finale has been like, it's definitely caused a stir in the fan base. For sure. And
it's just frustrating because like I was defending the season for like pretty much anything, any complaint anyone had, like, oh, the depression was rushed, he got over it so easily. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like, freaking, how was that easy?
I thought that was fleshed out perfectly.
Yeah, some people were
stuff.
like saying the same thing about, her relationship was rushed. Like, all of a sudden in episode 9, they love each other, or episode 8 rather, they love each other out of nowhere. Like, what? It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, it was hinted at for a long time. It's like I'm defending it all the time, and like it's kind of sucks that now I have to like I can't defend like the finale.
Yeah. I can't defend all of it either. I can just defend the one thing that I mentioned, had that rant about, but that's about it. Like, other than that, I can't. I have no merit behind anything. So yeah, Jack's father needed more time. I think Aku could have been handled better. I think that this deserved to be an hour. But on the whole, I need to mention that I feel personally, as a Jack fan, I am not thrilled, but I am satisfied with the ending. That's all I can say on the matter.
That's good. Yeah. I'm satisfied with the season, like...
But it needs to be reiterated, the fact that we even got this season in the first place, it's unheard of. A show being off the air for 13 years, coming back to like finish the story with the original team and everything.
You just reminded me a whole other rant I had, actually. Thank God, because I knew there was something I was forgetting.
Go for it.
So like, okay, so that's a whole other thing that I wanted to get into, and I totally forgot. So thank you. But okay, so the other thing Gendy was saying was that he wanted to give us the definitive ending, right? Like, he wanted to give us a definitive ending after 13 years. He wanted to close the season out, and yeah, he wanted that. And then the ending that we got wasn't really definitive. It had a lot of open-ended things. The fact that, okay, so what you said like 10 minutes ago or so was that people are going back and looking for things now. The fact that people even have to do that proves that the ending wasn't definitive enough for when we were promised a reboot for a definitive ending to the show. So like there's too many loose ends. And I said this during my reviews too, before the finale, like, episodes ago. I was saying how I am a fan of open-ended endings, especially in anime. Like, those are some of my favorite endings. Like Neon Genesis... I always can't pronounce this one right. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Super open-ended ending. Like, theories, people write essays on this thing. And I love that kind of stuff. But for Samurai Jack to come back after 13 years, promising a definitive ending, I really wanted an ending that was not really open to interpretation. I wanted an ending that was like, this is what we got, this is how it ended, and we're all just, like, happy about that.
Do you want to specify the loose ends that you think there are? I know you've probably mentioned a few of them already, but do you want to like recap what you think?
So there's like issues involving time travel. First of all, like the two different, the time travel's
the one. I feel like that's really hard to explain like there's so many like variables of time travel. All I'm gonna say before like you tear me apart, because I know you will. I like. I feel like there's a certain leeway in a cartoon where there's an ultimate evil, like shape-shifting master and a time-traveling samurai, where like the laws of time travel don't need to be explained perfectly. But that's like I don't want to dive into that, but I'll let you.
The reason why there shouldn't be any leeway is because this was a show where he didn't actually have to get back to the past. And Gandhi himself said it was more metaphorical than literal. Those were his words. Jack getting back to the past was actually more metaphorical than literal. So he didn't even really like. I'm glad to see him get back to the past, because that's the whole even the intro song was like gotta get back to the past.
Yeah.
Samurai Jack. So like it's cool that he finally did. But I think that kind of nulls any excuse you might have for having loose ends regarding the time travel, because you chose to send him back in the past, even after you said that it was like more metaphorical than literal. So there was some major issues with the way the time travel was handled. But at the same time, I'm not going to nitpick too much about that, because time travel is, like you said, it is really hard to like do properly, because like scientifically, we don't even really know how time travel would be handled in real life. So in a fictional setting, it's hard to judge.
Except for the fact you have to hit 88 miles per hour. That's the only thing we know.
There you go.
That's all we know.
Oh, man. Okay, one sec. There's actually like a trash guy outside. I got to turn my mic down.
I will keep everyone entertained with...
It's already fixed. Okay. Don't worry. Kind of curious.
Now back to the show.
Okay, so also like...
sing the theme song.
Nice. So yeah, I turned the gain on the mic down. I'm talking closer to it now because the background might get picked up. But also, like, why were Jack's parents all like they look like they're 20 years younger than when Jack left, and they like that was inconsistent.
I don't really have a defense for that either. But all I'll say is like, so the mom actually didn't look too much different than she did in the monk's cave, because she was pretty well nourished and stuff. She had gray hair and stuff, but she didn't look too much different than she did in the finale.
She did look different.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, but she did look different though.
The dad,
younger.
He was like, remember how Jack found him in the cave? He was all like, I feel like that was him basically almost dead. He was like really malnourished and like in those like sweaty mines mining for minerals and stuff. I'm not saying like he would completely come back to his like young form and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. They would definitely clean up for a wedding. Yeah. That's how I would put it. Like they cleaned up for the wedding, obviously. Like they're living way better than they were. But at the same time, you don't just like lose 20 years off your life like that. Like if you take someone who was in jail for 30 years and you clean them up, they're not going to look 30 years younger, most likely. Like, they're not going to suddenly lose all their wrinkles, and, like, it took its toll on them, and then it somehow magically they were better. I don't know. It was a little inconsistent there.
One last thing I want to mention. This will be, like, my final kind of point. For everyone complaining that why didn't Jack stay in the future, just as a side note, almost everyone that came to help Jack, all of his friends, they actually ended up dying in that battle. All the dogs and stuff, all the people in their Mondo bot, they all got blown up and taken out of the sky when Aku rained the needles. The only people for sure that lived were like the Spartans and some of the daughters. And so,
the Scotsman lived.
Yeah, so like afterward, who would you celebrate with? Like the few few Spartans and the daughters. Like,
but did Jack know that they died though? If he was inside the tower,
he probably didn't know they died. Actually, he probably might have noticed, but that's again the time constraint thing.
Yeah, I mean, he would have noticed when he left, but I don't know if he noticed then. It's hard to say.
So this part is a little bit dicey, but if Jack kills Aku in the future and stays there, who's to say Ashi still doesn't vanish?
Sorry, can you say that one more time? The guy outside, man, he's so loud.
So who's to say that when Jack kills Aku in the future, that Ashi still doesn't vanish? Because, like you mentioned in one of your videos, we don't know for sure if she vanished because of the time stuff or the disappearance of Aku. Because, it could be either one, really.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I made that theory about her being tied to Aku way before that was even like a thing confirmed in the show. So I agree with you on that.
She could have still passed away in the future.
I think she would have.
Yeah,
I do.
So I think either way, Ashi was dead to begin with. So if anyone was hoping that she would live, there's really no scenario where she would have lived, unless the gods come in. And I was gonna have a rant about the gods because they're assholes. they like, you could argue like, oh, but they fought this giant blackness in space and like saved everyone. Well, they knew that this piece landed on Earth, and instead of going down and easily taking care of it, like this weakened little what's left of this black mass, they instead wait for it to grow. They then give a mortal a sword to fight him, almost like to their amusement in a way.
It was.
And when like he gets sealed away, they don't even like mention to them like, hey, he's still kind of there. Like they just kind of sit back and like let this happen. And Jack, in the 50 years where he's in the future, they don't like help him once. They just kind of like watch, and they let him suffer in these years that he doesn't have the sword. They don't even let him know like, you don't have the sword anymore because you're imbalanced. They don't even tell him that. They just like let him suffer. And then when he finally finds it out, like the reason he doesn't have it, they're like, oh, you're worthy again. Here, continue our little game that we have going on here. And then at the end, when literally he does all the dirty work for him and he's finally happy, they can't like give him one last sort of like, here you go, here's a thank you for your service. Like here's Ashi back. No, they just like, they don't even show themselves. And I don't know. I have issue with that. But
yeah, they're messed up. When you put all of that together, ranting about it, it almost sounds like they're worse than Aku in a way.
Honestly,
like,
yeah, I was gonna say that in a video, but I was like, I'm just gonna save it for this because I want to hear what your thoughts are. But honestly, they're kind of more evil than Aku if you think about it. Really, it's that's about it.
Yeah, it's messed up. So like also like another inconsistency, I guess, would be like King Jack being retconned. Like
yeah.
I don't know. It was just a lot of things, a lot of loose ends. There really was for an ending that was supposed to be definitive, which I just wish it was more definitive.
Maybe.
Oh well.
Maybe that King Jack was from the split timeline of what happened in your theory video, where like when Jack gets sent to the future, but like like you were saying how there's like split. There's a way of like split timeline branches.
Right. Like the multiverse theory and stuff like that.
Maybe that's a different one. I don't know.
It could be, but then not to keep beating the bush, whatever the saying is. I don't even think that's the right context, but like
beating a dead horse.
Then
I think
I would just say beating the dead horse. Yeah, there you go. So like then I would just say again, the fact that we have to interpret it that way means the ending wasn't definitive enough.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, a strong season. Just wish the strength carried through to the very end.
I'm just curious.
Still happy with it though.
What's your favorite episode?
I think episode 3, actually. Jack in the forest, all bloody.
That's my
trying
second
to get away
favorite
from
one.
the daughters. Nice.
Number 2 is my favorite.
Number 2?
Yeah, that's the only one actually.
It's tough to say.
That's the only one I actually like cried on because this is back when it was really like deeply mature and emotional, and I was like, when Jack's gripping that sword as they're like about to close in on him, I was like, holy shit, this is really sad. Like,
oh yeah.
That's emotional. The music playing and like, it got to me. That's the only time I cried, which is weird.
Really? Yeah, it was an emotional scene, though. It was like, damn, dude, Jack, like, he doesn't deserve all this crap. Give the guy a break.
Yeah.
Man, and then he, like, just seeing him, like, clench his teeth when he killed the daughter of Aku. And he's just got to move on.
So good.
Let's give a low-key thanks to Scaramouche for giving him that tuning blade.
Scaramouche?
Like, if he didn't have that, who knows what would have happened.
I think Scaramouche might be the most popular character from this season. I think he spawned the most, like, fan art and stuff.
Maybe.
From the things I've seen, like even more than Ashi. People love Scaramouche.
I ended up liking him a lot. I ended up loving him too. It's funny. I hated him at first.
Yeah, I saw your reaction. You're like, I hate this guy. Then you started to like him. So.
I was so annoyed at first, but yeah, definitely I liked him in the end.
Final thoughts. Samurai Jack. Seriously great series. I think if you haven't seen seasons 1 through 4, they're truly a gem in storytelling and visual art. Season 5, love it or hate it, how it finished. The majority of the whole season was very well, just everything about it, like the music, the sound, the how it looked. It was fantastic. Want to wrap up your thoughts?
Yeah, what he said, what Mighty Gazelle said. It was season 1 through 4 are amazing, and some of those episodes even won awards. So it's definitely
got 4 Emmys back in the day.
Yep, crazy stuff. So if you want more Samurai Jack and you haven't seen those episodes ever, or you haven't seen them in a long time, definitely go back and rewatch them. And if you don't have time to watch like 4 seasons worth, I totally understand. Type in Google Gendy's favorite episodes from seasons 1 through 4, and go watch those like 7 or 8
X9's
episodes.
on there.
Yep,
X9.
yep.
I love X9.
You will not be disappointed. Those episodes are amazing. So that's cool too.
I
Yep.
hope this is an example of how to bring back like a show. Like whether you love or hate the ending, like this is like there was a love behind this season for sure. Like I don't know if you heard of like Teen Titans Go and stuff, but that's like a
Oh God,
it made a lot of fans not happy, and I think that this is how you should bring back a show.
Absolutely. They did an amazing job. They really did. Maturing the show for the audience as we all matured since we were, from kids, like bringing it into these more darker tones. It was good. It was amazing. It really was. I'd still give it a really strong 8.5 to 9 out of 10 if I had to be like a guy to like rate it.
I'd say on the whole, I'd give it like a 9. Only 2 episodes in my eyes were actually perfect. I think 2 and 3 were 10 out of 10s, and then most of them were like 9s. And then I'd give the finale like a 7.5. I don't know, but that's the only one that was like below like an 8.5 in my eyes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yep. I think that's about all I got to say on that. What about you?
Same. I'm tapped out. That's about it.
Yeah. Dang, good talk though, man. It's like 47 minutes almost now. Well, by the time we end, it would probably be like 47 minutes, especially if I keep dragging it on like this.
For those of you who have joined us for these past few weeks, it's been a lot of fun. Honestly, these speculations and discussion with you guys has been truly amazing. It's a lot of fun just to hang out and chat with you guys. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another cool thing. Bringing the show back, all this like community that developed. It was awesome.
Yeah. Time to move on though. Things happen that way. That's life.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this talk. I know I enjoyed it. Hopefully you did, Mighty Gazelle.
I had an absolute blast.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
Yep. Bye, guys.